Welcome to the Build with Boundaries podcast. My name is Mahnaz, and this podcast is for mums who want to carve out time so that you can work in ways that work for you, your life, your family, and of course, your business. Together, we will discover why you are not prioritizing your business and the actions that you can take so you can live an intentional, productive, and fulfilled life without mum guilt. So let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode. So, juggling family and business, navigating the pressures. This is the topic for this week, and there's just so much pressure when it comes to building the business that you want for your future life, for your family, for your clients, for everybody around. When you have a passion-based business, there's just so much pressure because, there is that pressure to do things and to really get somewhere quickly. There's so many things that can add extra stress as well. And sometimes we're aware of these, and other times they're there, but we're not really sure what we can do with them. So I wanted to cover the common things that I see, and hopefully, if this resonates with you, it will be very helpful. So, firstly, I think the big thing when it comes to starting your business is whatever stage you're at, there's often areas in your life where you thought that you would have support that you don't actually have it. Now, this could be support within your own immediate family in your house. It could be slightly outside. It could be your community, your neighbours, friends, people that you know. They may or may not have a business of their own. And when they don't have that understanding, it can feel really isolating, especially when you're working on your own and you have a team of one. Working yourself as a solopreneur, there doesn't seem to be people that you can very easily talk to who will understand. And it's been huge. I've seen in my clients as well that even them seeing that other people are going through similar things, it's just huge because it almost takes this pressure away because they feel like they've been heard and they feel like they're not the only ones, whatever it is that is causing them the trouble at that time. And knowing that other people are going through it can be supportive. And when people have already been through it, it can tell us that you can come out the other end as well. So it's really positive in both ways. And then, secondly, I think there's also another pressure that we have these ideas in our mind that we need to learn and we need to be worthy and we need to prove our worth. And when we do that, we're often making ourselves go into this cycle of learning. And it's like the learning isn't enough. I need to learn more. And when you're going through then the learning, there's just so much more noise because if you're in the online space, you might be joining this masterclass, watching this other thing, signing up for this challenge, and literally sort of jumping from one thing to the next to find the thing that you don't feel you know enough about. And this can really consume us. It takes away a lot of our time, but it also takes away a lot of our focus and our energy too. And what can then happen is that we're inevitably just delaying our progress because we're not staying in our own lane or what we need to do. We're sort of looking outside to see what works for somebody else or what somebody else is saying. Now, don't get me wrong, hearing that from someone is going to be very different if you go into a free challenge, for example, compared with if your coach was giving you advice and coaching you through something. So bear that in mind. Next, there's this whole sort of time factor. So this is a huge pressure because it can show up in several ways. So one is the time management. So for our time management, mums can just struggle to balance all of the responsibilities because they have so many family commitments. They can also feel like they cannot set boundaries. And when they do set boundaries, they can just be walked all over, and usually by your immediate family. And this then makes it even more difficult to manage the time that you have effectively. And it almost feels like it's an impossible task because, you're trying to make things better and whatever you try just does not seem to work. It's exhausting. It's really exhausting and draining as well. And then not having that sort of work life balance because you're on this almost like a conveyor belt. You have your mission and you're trying to do what you need to do in your business, and other things are not following the right path for you. They're not helping you, they're not supporting you. And because you have this whole concept of what being a good mum is and how you have to be available for your children all the time. Perhaps there's school events you need to attend or parents' evenings, all the things that you want to always be there for and never be missing. You have to be flexible. And when you're wanting to be flexible, you're almost adding more pressure on yourself because, again, there's a limited time that you can work. And what is it that you can fit in there? And then you're having to build this business with this in mind, and it can really feel like that adds to the load. And then there's a whole lot of other pressures on with the financial side because what I see quite often with mums in business in particular is that there's this pressure somewhat inside because they're so passionate about what they want to do. They want to be able to earn the money that's appropriate for what they're doing as well. But they need to be able to make that money fast because if they don't, they're not proving their worth. They feel like this is attached to their self worth, and that can really start affecting things too. They can also feel that by generating this money, then they are able to give themselves permission to, for example, invest in support that would actually help them to build a business of their dreams. But because they are not already earning or they're not earning enough, they feel they cannot invest money because it has to come from the business. It needs to be generated first, and then obviously they're the decision maker, and they would easily be able to invest that in helping them to grow their business. And this is a bit of a trap that often mums can fall into because, we look at our children and they have this set path. When they are of nursery age, they go to nursery. When they're school age, they're in school. They have a certain number of years that their education is mandatory. And then whatever they want to be will take them down different roads. But their mission is always to go and do the thing that they enjoy that will then lead them on to the career and the pathway that they need to get to. So they need to do all the learnings beforehand, whether that's university, college, apprenticeships, or whatever's going on for them. But we never say to them to go and get that job first. We know that you have to invest in yourself, both time, effort, and energy, and often financial. And let's be honest, in this day and age, even learning all the things, whether that's university or anywhere else, you're having to go through this experience. It's going to cost you money as well because it will mean for some children they will have to move away, for others there's other costs involved. There will always be costs attached, but that cost is, we see it as being very different when we associate it with our children. And their job, we can't expect them to get that job before they have done the learning, before they've had the right support to help them, nurture them, and make sure that they are the best in that particular area. And this is quite an interesting one because women do generally find it much more difficult to invest in themselves where they're buying things, even if they're material things for everybody, how often and are we putting all of that same effort into ourselves? We can make do with a lot of things because, it's fine, it does the job. It might be old, it might be torn, you repair it and you do things, but you wouldn't do that for other people. And this is really, really interesting. So there might be areas in your life that you're doing that you'll recognize. Then the other thing with the financial side is that even if they have the money or when they have the money, it's very difficult just now, especially in this noisy, noisy world we're in, to know like what it is that they need to invest in and when they need to invest. What's appropriate for them, what's appropriate for the stage of business they're at, where they're trying to go, because everything isn't going to be 100% suitable, and finding the right fit for who is going to support them is really important. And then thirdly, there's another aspect to the financial side which I often see is trying to balance and manage their business expenses along with their personal expenses. That can be really tricky because sometimes businesses are set up where there isn't a difference between these. And when there is a difference, like the business expenses, businesses, it has to generate, they have to be two different silos because it has to generate in order to then invest, is where the mindset can definitely be felt. And I think we've all been there, myself included. We're all guilty of doing this at some point in our life in business. Business expense will come out of your business. And if you don't have it, then you cannot invest it. And that can really slow down your progress. And the danger here is that if you are slowing that down, there could potentially be a time where you run out of steam. Because how long can you keep on doing the same thing over and over and keep expecting things to change, and just for that change to be around the corner? There will come a time where you just feel that the amount you're putting in is not giving you enough. That's really sad because there's so many mums who have so much time that they can use to their advantage and focus on the things in their area of expertise, which would then mean that other people can thrive because their clients and the transformations that they can deliver and how they can help them is truly amazing. And by them not being able to get this thing off the ground just means that those people don't actually get to even hear about. Networking is another big one because there's this pressure to get the word out there, to tell people what they do, help them understand the problem that they can help with. Working is definitely, whether in person or online, is something that everybody's aware of that will be helpful because your network is your net worth, and more people that know about you is going to be helpful, which totally makes sense. But it can be really challenging when so many networking opportunities that do exist, especially in your particular area, they might be ones that just do not fit a mum in business because they are like at 6:30 in the morning. They are very structured and they don't allow flexibility. There's too much pressure there already. That opportunity just is something that you would not go for. And that means then you have more limited things that you can do. And given that you're working when your children are away at school, then again, the whole idea of what can you fit in there and what's actually most benefit, there's always that pressure of how do I reach more people. And yeah, networking is just one way, but networking, especially if it's in person, can take up a fair amount of time. And if it's at times that are unsuitable to you, then that's just something that does not get added to your list at all. Now, all of these things can add quite a lot of mental and emotional stress, and it's not effective at helping us to give ourselves more energy to actually do the thing we're here to do. It can really have a negative impact. And because of that, it's so important to see what things might be affecting you more and think about why they're affecting you more and what you can possibly do to start to shift that. Because if you can recognize, and that's the first stage, is always just acknowledgement of that, you are way further forward than you might be thinking, because you have the awareness, and having the awareness means that you can then look at what you can do. Now, if it is time for you to prioritize your business and you feel like setting the right boundaries, having the right priorities in place, and then working in a really productive manner so that you can grow your business with the flexibility that you want, with the need that you have, so that you are impacting not only your clients, you're also impacting your family, being able to be there for them at the same time as growing your business. You know, it is absolutely possible to build a successful business and to be a good mom as well. And I would love to show you how. So if you are interested, then please do hop over to my website, buildwithboundaries.com, and you can grab my free resource where I share 3 sneaky traps that business moms fall into so that you can avoid them. So until next time, thank you for listening.